Namaste everyone. In this video, I'm going to share what I've learned regarding the anger in young children. Okay. Now this video may be helpful for those of you who are educators, teachers who work alongside children. We could say K through 5th grade. Okay, so today I have a student who is constantly just throwing punches at his brother and his brother's friend. Now, this student is in kindergarten and his older brother is in 3rd grade. Okay? So, constantly they're just fighting, like throwing punches, and wrestling is normal, particularly for brothers. But this little boy just keeps going at it, keeps punching and choking and all kinds of stuff, and it creates mayhem, okay? So what I do is I calmly pull this young child to the side and I have him sit down. And I just sit presently with him. And this child is diagnosed with ADHD by his doctor. So his parent is trying different medications and kind of different dosages. So there are times when he is very just out of it, like a zombie, like emotionless. And there's times where he's a little bit more calm, but still has that energy. And then there's times when it's just like, woo, like explosive energy. And that explosive energy, he uses a lot of that for this anger he has towards his brother, towards his brother's friend, and ultimately he has this anger towards himself. Okay? This young boy, he has serious self-judgment, and working with him, practicing writing, he gets so frustrated so quickly. He gets so critical. And at times he doesn't want to finish the word. For example, Rosa. He gets to the E and he just and he says to himself, "Oh, I'm stupid." Like he says that. Okay? And that angers him because he believes it. He believes that he is stupid. Okay? Now, this anger, this boiling anger comes into these punching and this attacking, but ultimately he is yearning for his brother's attention, and his older brother gives him none. And then his older brother and his friend kind of do this like teasing, okay? Using words, common words in elementary school are like stupid, loser, retarded. I've heard such things. And this just creates this feeling of not being enough, of not being worthy to be respected and to be loved, ultimately. Kids, they want to be nurtured, okay? And when they don't feel like they can be themselves, a lot of times that creates this anger, this internal anger, and it also creates this, like, what we say, lashing out or misbehaving, we could say. So how I've managed this situation is, like I said, I take this young boy to the side and his eyes wander, okay? He's a wandering child, and that's why he's diagnosed with ADHD, because he just always is, his mind is everywhere, because he's just so much energy in his thoughts, okay? And I face him, and I look him in the eyes, and when he looks me in the eyes, his concentration hones in on me, and he relaxes. So it's not so much what I'm doing, okay? It is the presence that I give, okay? It is the presence that I give. The teacher before me entering into this academy, he would tell me all the kids, this boy's bad and that boy's bad, and he was always blaming a child or children for mayhem or for just disorganization within the classroom. Okay, now any disorganization in the classroom is directly with the teacher, okay, or the educator or the instructor. And children, they can pick up on your energy. They can pick up, as we can pick up on other people's energies. We just know somebody, okay, without them needing to talk or needing them to bark at us, because there's a lot of teachers that do the barking and the yelling and all that kind of stuff to get a child to do what they want to do. And I've done the whole opposite, okay, the total opposite, where I have learned to interact with them, to let them know that I'm here to help, okay, that I'm not their superior in a way that I have no relation to them. Because a lot of teachers notice, like, there's no relation. It's like, you're the teacher and you're your own world and they're their own world, and there's no, like, correlation, there's no connection besides teacher-student. So I interact with the children, I play with the children, I read with the children, I draw with the children, I dance with the children and during outside activities. I participate in the outside activities, such as they want to do this kind of silly game. I'm totally in, to let them know that I want to create a relationship with them. And children, they want nurture. I feel like that's the number one thing for K to like 5th grade, is to be nurtured. Nurtured. Not just nurtured as in, I need you to learn the ABCs, or I need you to learn multiplication. It's more so nurturing them based on who they are, what is most native or natural for them to be. Because when kids feel this confinement, or a lot of times it boils into anger, when they feel rejected, or when they feel unnoticed, or when they feel like everybody is unavailable to connect with them. Okay, unavailable to connect. That creates this feeling of, like, unworthiness. So a little first grader has this feeling of kindergartner, yes, he has this feeling of being unworthy. And the thing is, wanting attention, using anger as a way to get attention, and getting more angry and wanting more attention, doing anything to just get attention, is simply because this little boy does not feel worthy to be nurtured by his brother or be nurtured by his friends. Because in this school system, we have this whole, I don't even know what to call it. We are not accepting of each other for where we are at. And this stems directly from the adults. Majority of adults I see do not accept themselves for where they're at. And a lot of the adults are just doing the same repeat method, okay, where they're all just kind of, they're not allowing themselves the space, the compassion, or the acceptance to grow in their own way. So a lot of adults are growing the way so-and-so's growing, or the way that they think they should grow in response to somebody on social media or some family member or some friend or something like that. So you see that in the school system. It's like the little kids are just acting out what's going on with the parents. So the kids don't accept their growth the way it's unfolding. It's like we have a rose trying to bloom as a cactus, and then they're judging the cactus, and then the cactus is judging the rose, but they're both beautiful and important to the ecosystem. So that's kind of what's going on, and it creates this anger because these young children, to be themselves is most natural. To be adults, we kind of it's a little bit more complicated. But the inability to accept themselves is revealing itself as inability to accept others. Like, I've heard words such as, you're a slow reader, or you are terrible at soccer. I mean, I've heard these terms. You can't do that, like, you suck, like, you're not good. And so what I've done is kind of interesting. This is all experimentative. I've revealed to the children my vulnerabilities. I've told them, there's a student that plays the piano in their after school, and I said to him, I said, I love the piano, but I can't read sheet music. And he's like, what? You can't read? You know, kind of goofy, like, you can't read? And I said, no, I'm dyslexic. Sheet music, in my mind, it just doesn't translate. And I said, I'm also dyslexic with reading, so sometimes I can't spell words right. Basic words, like translation and transaction, are like the same thing to me. I don't know how to do the difference. And just by saying it in the way I say it, and the way that it's heartfelt to me, and the way I accept myself for that, this little boy is like, oh, okay. His whole attitude from critical, just totally lowered into, okay, you have something that's what we consider a weakness or a vulnerability. And embracing that, especially as an adult, because most adults will not embrace what we call weakness or vulnerability, and kids just pick that up. But me embracing that as an adult is showing them that it's okay for a child to be dyslexic who can't read sheet music. Okay, for a child to be at a lower level at reading than the level their classroom is at. Okay, so through the teacher having self-love, ultimately, like, it's acceptance, really acceptance for who they are, where they're at, in their own unique growing process of what is most native and natural for them to be, and allowing them to be that, such as if a teacher is a rose, bloom as a rose, if that's natural for you. If you bloom as a cactus, but don't try to bloom as something that is not natural, because children can sniff that out, and then it makes them feel this anger, because they want to grow as a certain person, as this certain essence, like an essence of a flower. There's a unique scent, and the cactus has a unique scent. But when we feel like we just can't do that, like we are not supported, encouraged, or nurtured to be that, that's when we get anger. Okay? And that anger boils into all kinds of what we call misbehavior or punching and stuff like that. So today, with this, this kindergartner, we sat down, and I told him, say, you want to draw a Christmas tree with me? Because that was kind of like a sort of holiday activity, even though it's not Christmas. It's like a little holiday activity. And me saying it the way I said it, in a way that I was very accepting of myself, and that I like to draw. There's no shame in liking to draw and not being maybe a good drawer at, Christmas trees or whatnot. It invited him to invite himself, his natural self. So he just dropped low, and he dropped low, is like dropped calm, and we sat at the table and we just drew. And, I wrote positive affirmations. I said to the child, I drew him a Christmas tree. Okay, while he's drawing his own, I wrote, you are wonderful, you're amazing, you're beautiful. And I said this to him, and he's like, thank you. So, and again, it's not what I do, it's what I am representing. So that's the thing, like, it's not real unless you embody it. And we could say to a child, like, as a teacher, as an educator, an instructor, to love yourself, or to accept where you're at in your growing path, in your growing journey. But if, as an adult, if you're not doing that yourself, a kid can pick that up. They can pick that up if you don't genuinely, sincerely accept where you're at in your growing process, because they can just sense it by your anxiety. Or anxiety a lot of times comes from like judgment. Okay, we judge where we're at or where we're not at, or what we have or what we don't have. And children, they don't have that complex yet until they get to like high school. They don't have that complex yet. Right now, they have the complex of, I want to be supported, I want to be nurtured, and I'll do what I need to do to be supported and nurtured because that's what I need. So children, they are in the whole social thing, like they're trying to gain that support and that nurture from the social world. But when the social world is reflecting the adult world in this lack of acceptance for self and therefore for others, we get kids that don't accept the others, they don't accept themselves, they don't accept others, and that just creates this social environment that is not very nurturing for growth of individuals. Okay, of individuals. It doesn't support the natural growth. It just supports the growth of the ideology of every kid's participating in, which is to be nurtured, to be supported, I have to be this. And then we're all trying to be this ideology, this. And then when it doesn't write smooth to be this, we're very angry. Okay, and then we want attention, and then we are misbehaving because we're trying so much to be this, but it's just not working out. And that's the same thing with adults. We want to be this, but then we're so critical, we're so judgmental when we just can't get it, or it's just not working. Okay, it's like in school, I was behind in my reading level because of dyslexia, but it's always trying to be this, and I didn't even know what it was, but I thought if it was this, I would be supported and I would be nurtured by my friends, because kids, they don't understand the adults and the adults don't understand the kids. Okay, it's like they're two different worlds. So kids are looking for other kids for support and nurture, and they're looking for the adults for consistency and dependability, like structure, discipline, and security. But as teachers, I give them that security, I give that consistency and dependability by showing up, creating a routine, sort of thing, and also bringing my world into their worlds. Like, I want to learn them, I want to listen, I want to hear, I want to participate in their journey, and I want to walk with them on their journey. It lets them, it brings us into a companionship. Okay, a companionship where I'm not taking anything from the child, I'm giving and giving and giving. So let's be clear, I'm giving and giving and giving to the child. That is the dynamic of parent and child, or teacher and child, giving and giving and giving. Never taking from a child, which a lot of people would. But that companionship is more so of I let you know who I am, where I'm at in my unique journey, okay, through showing up for myself, okay, showing up for myself and being loving to myself, and letting you know through that embodiment that you can be loving towards yourself, and that you can unravel yourself, and that you can show up for who you are as well, okay? So, yeah, this is just kind of an experiment kind of that I've been going through on my journey of growing more into my teaching path. I have a life path number 10, so it's more of a teaching path. But I felt that this can help other educators or other teachers or instructors out there who are having difficulties with children that are misbehaving, they don't listen. It's just they don't listen to your lack of acceptance for yourself. They don't listen to that, and they don't understand that, and they know you don't understand them because you don't understand yourself, and they can sniff it. So, but when a person actually understands themselves, they go to that adult, because children, they want to understand themselves. They don't want to be mayhem. You know what I'm saying? They want to be energetic. Oh, yeah. They want to be playful. Oh, yeah. Because that's kind of what it is to be vital, okay? Again, to not be vital is no energy, no play. That is not that is a person with no vitality. Okay? So the whole adult of just no energy, no play, no. The kids are vitality. So they're energetic and they're playful. So that's just who they are. But adult who can't like keep up with that, then you're going to fall short always. Always. But when a child can sense that a teacher actually has an understanding of their own body, their own emotions, their own life experience, and have a level of acceptance and compassion for themselves, they're drawn more so to that person's aura, because they know that aura is going to lead them into the support and nurture they need to actually become who they truly are. Because they just can let loose. They can let loose. So I was like, for example, with the other teacher I had, there was this one student where he would just say, oh, he's so bad and so bad. He kept saying that again and again. And it became like a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning this child was misbehaving and teasing and all that kind of stuff. But when I came in, I did not have any sort of whatever. He was really amplifying that bad. It was like amplifying it big time. So again, it was like he was fulfilling his own prophecy by just projecting that out into that child, like bad. So what I did is I brought myself into his world, and I learned like that this particular child, he likes to be active, and given more things to do to be active and to express his energy, to express his body. Okay, so a lot of teachers is just, we see things, we call them out, but we just don't have the energy, or maybe we just don't have the understanding on actually what is going on. Okay, what is going on, so how we can self-correct it. Okay, it's just like your body. Like, your body can have these funky things, like it can misbehave. But to understand your bodies, you know how to self-correct or self-adjust your body so that you can get in alignment, so that the energy can flow, and that makes you happy. When your energy's flowing in the way that's most natural to your body function, or just your whole balance, you know, everyone has a different like balance, then you start to feel more happy, and you start to feel more a fluidity in your energy level. So you're not feeling this like tightness, you just can't know what to do, and then you start feeling kind of irritated and stuff like that. So the kids, when getting into understanding them is ultimately like the best tip I would give is to understand yourself. Like, be your own scientist. Your body's your own scientist, and learn, like, how do you feel if you're sitting for 8 hours? How do you feel when, let's say, you're not getting as much exercise that day? Or how do you feel when you just feel like somebody's yelling at you all the time, like bad, or barking at you about doing something? How do you feel when you're around people who are just sitting there staring at the phone or staring at the wall? How do you feel? And then probably reverse it, and the child's probably going to feel the same, okay? But as adults, we ignore things. But children, they don't ignore things. They see everything clearly. Everything clearly. So when you get awareness of yourself and what gives you joy, what gives you energy, you can get into that flow state of understanding how to give a self-adjustment to a child so that they can flow freely in their energy and not feel trapped or feel blocked or feel tight or feel stiff or feel just like imbalanced because of their whole energy level, or tapas we could say, is not correct. It's not aligned, and call it irritated, agitated, So it is the self. that is the teacher. It is not the child. Okay, because again, it's just all about the aura. If the child can sense that there's an adult who actually has an acceptance for themselves, who actually has a genuine compassion or a joy for life or uniqueness or something special about themselves, and they just emit or radiate this special, almost like a mantra. Like you radiate this mantra, like a mantra of self-care. They're going to be drawn to that aura because at the ages of like K through 5, they're looking to be nurtured. They're looking to be supported because that's the critical time that really decides either the lack of nurture or the deep nurture for who they are, really decides their experience in their teens. Okay, their experience in their teens. Either they have confidence for who they are or either they fall short, and there's no in between. And the falling short is the majority of like high school students, meaning socialing in elementary is more of about seeking nurture and support, while socializing in high school is more so about maintaining your identity, an identity that is based on a elementary school nurture and support of incompassion or unacceptance. So, you know what I'm saying? That's not a really healthy identity. To have a high school identity that's based on you don't accept yourself and you don't have a sense of compassion. And that creates an identity that's really wanky. Okay? So, creating that acceptance, that compassion as young as possible through nurture and support, it creates this status for these high school kids that's going to be flexible and that is going to be understanding. That's what we need on the planet. People who are understanding, because the misunderstanding, it creates that anger always. Misunderstanding led to war, anger, goes on and on. So embodying that understanding for yourself, it creates a radiance, and the children are drawn to you because there is no greater joy than to just let loose and to just let it be and just to let yourself be the angel that you want to be. And even working with these kids, particularly that boy that was called bad again and again and again, just showing him like myself, like showing up for myself and showing up for him and as myself, and revealing myself as the growth that I'm working on, and in my silence is just being attentive and aware of him, that he responds to me with respect. Like, and it's not a respect as I am dictator or I am superior than you. It's a respect as almost like I am his level. That I respect you for your care for people. And kids, they can feel it. If you genuinely care about people, or if you're so caught up in your own lack mentality, or if you're so caught up, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. That's not care. And kids can sense that. Because a lot of parents they can't care because they just don't have the energy. Because they're so wrapped up in their neurosis of all the things they don't have and all the things they want. And they compare and they contrast and they compete with everyone around them. And they're just so distracted and so kind of just mentally fogged and have no sense of self and no sense of uniqueness and no sense of true identity of who they actually are. And they're just everybody else. They're just same repeat. They can sense that, but when you have this true attentiveness, this true care, it is presence that they sense, and it is acceptance that they sense, and they want to be like that, because seeing you as an adult give this, like, this creative, like, flow, or this genuine, like, respect for yourself and a feeling of worth and a feeling of being your own person. That is the leadership that children want to step into. So certain children are going to flock to you, certain children are not, but the children who flock to you are usually the ones who would like to become leaders themselves. Not every person or child is going to be molded into a leader, okay, to be a person of their own person. But the children that are, usually a lot of times they are diagnosed with all kinds of ADHD, ADD, because of the energy they have. And the not knowing how to use that energy. It's like a lot of people, like even rich people, have so much energy, such as resources, but they have no idea what to do, so they just go on yachts. And they're just kind of all over the place, and they travel everywhere, but this same time they just don't know what to do. They're the same thing as a little boy. They just don't know what to do with their energy reserve. So when children at that high energy are seeing adults who have that high energy and are using it like productively for their own growth, like their own kind of, what do we say, their own self-care, they're putting that, instead of outward and outward and outward, they're putting that inward and inward and inward for their self-care and getting themselves as healthy, happy, and holy as possible. That kind of gives them a course of how to participate in life and how to be a human as an adult, and how to see humanity and how to take part in humanity and what it means to be humanity, because they can feel it in your aura, the wisdom of your self-care. Now, a person who has no self-care has no wisdom, okay, and therefore they have no uniqueness, no creativity, and children are like, I'm not feeling it. You're just a teacher that's just going to get me through ABCs, but you're not going to get me to AB infinity kind of thing. You're not going to get me there. So they're drawn to that energy because children, they want to, these leader children, we could say, they want to they want to have a role in life, particularly boys, okay, and girls as well. They want to feel connection to life, because a lot of people think we're connected to life, but without self-care, you're not connected to anything. If you're not connected to your body, you're not connected to life. Let's just be honest. Okay, so the connection that self-care has, it's like, yeah, ABC, we're learning ABCs, but the uniqueness, the creative spunk, and the jazz that is also brought into ABCs makes ABC this infinity, this colorful, just exciting opportunity to participate in the journey, okay? The journey. And through the patience and the tolerance and the acceptance, it's like a child can receive themselves. And that's important, because if we don't receive ourselves in life, it just anger and then attention, and everyone's trying to get attention because we're not receiving ourselves, because we don't know how to receive ourselves, because no adult is receiving themselves. They're just rejecting anything that does not validate to them that they are a worthy person. If that makes sense. Okay, but worth is not a validation that you are worthy. It is a self-care. And that self-care brings a care for the earth. And that care for the earth, it brings a purpose to live on the earth. And that purpose to live on the earth, it brings authenticity to earth. And that authenticity to earth brings a uniqueness, originality, a joy to be on earth. Okay? And the children are that naturally. It's just they need the nurture and support through the adult. Through the adult, they are birthed into the teenage they will become. Through the adult, they are birthed. Through the adult, they are birthed. So imagine your teacher and you're birthing that child's status or identity connected to status and the whole game of that. It's like a mental intrigue that we just lose all sense of originality and essence and uniqueness just to get to that mental intrigue. Then we get there and we realize, like, it's just, we feel so limited and so fearful and so, like, our fake friends and all that kind of stuff and fake little. So through the teacher, the child can grow through the teacher's self-growth, self-development, self-love, self-care. Through the teacher, the child can grow through the teacher's self-care, self-love, self-respect, real self. Okay, so through the teacher, the child can grow through the teacher's self-judgment. I don't have this, I don't have that, poverty consciousness, incompassion, not able to understand, commotion. And that's how the child becomes the identity of the teenager. Commotional, misunderstanding, lack of acceptance, judgment, leading to all kinds of anger and all that kind of stuff. Because the adult anger, a lot of it is just so repressed and just so emotionally, like, clogged, that it becomes like normal to just be a carrier of all this clogged psychological, emotional, held in anger from childhood. But the children are living it out, and they're living it out, and it's like they're experiencing it. It's not repressed in the child. They're actually experiencing the emotion, the psychological state, anger of the parent that the parent's so desensitized to, but the child is experiencing it. So that's when we get into the child is like carrying the adult's repressed anger and psychological clog going on in their energy. Okay, so what we can do as teachers, as educators, as instructors, is to nurture and support their natural rhythm as much as possible, through acceptance and compassion as much as possible. And that only happens, again, the child grows through the teacher's journey of self-love, self-care, self-respect, okay, nurture of self. So it's like you can't nurture a child if you're not nurturing yourself, because it's like within is without, let's be honest. And it's just not believable if you're trying to nurture a child to be themselves. Like you say, be yourself, but you're beautiful, you're wonderful, but then you are like, oh God, I'm not worthy. I'm just gonna go settle for this dude over there that just uses me for sex, or I'm gonna, just go to these friends because I'm not worthy of friends that are supportive of my creativity. You know what I'm saying? So it's not believable because it's in your aura. So if you're actually a participant of your own special growth, then the child will grow through you as a teacher and will grow to be their special growth, creating confidence, creating an example of creating leadership that can help them lead their identity rather than surrender to the ideology of identity. Mind-blowing. So again, I think this is pretty much the message that wants to come through regarding education and working with young children like K through 5, and how we can better support them, especially during this time on the planet. We, all of the clogged emotional stuff, the ideology of everyone has to be this, the incompassion, the inability to accept, and the lack of self-care is creating children that just don't know how to function in a world that doesn't understand self-care. And yes, so it's never the bad or the misbehaving, or it's the teacher and the way the teacher has a relationship with themselves. It is the way the relationship has a teacher with themselves is going to reflect the way the relationship the children have with themselves and therefore with others. Okay? So, again, it's never how you are training the child, it's how you're training yourself. Because if you train yourself, you got a good training with yourself, it'll just become natural. It'll just become natural to get what you want from the kids. Just like life. If you know how to get what you want from life, and it's like natural and it's easeful, that's going to reflect that you know how to get what you want from the kids. Okay? And at times, like life itself, it requires you gotta try different tactics. You gotta try different methods. But getting anything from life, we're never, what do you call, yelling. Like we're never pouting. We're never desperate. That never gets us what we really want, does it? So it's the same thing with kids. Yelling and we're desperate and we're irritated and we're agitated. That never gets us what we truly want. Okay, from life and from kids. So if we want to get what we want, we got to practice. How do I get what I want from life easeful and naturally? And once you kind of can get in like a manifestator kind of mindset on how you do that in your own reality, you'll learn how to get what you want from child. But if you're just getting what you want through desperation, through irritation, through like yelling and barking, and just through these methods that just don't bring you a sense of integrity, that get you things that you don't want, but you just settle for it, that's going to reflect, you're going to get things what you want from a kid, but you're going to settle for it. I mean, you're not going to get what you really want. And that's going to affect the kid, because if you're not getting what you really want from that child, that can affect their own learning, okay? Their own learning, because you're settling for, let's say, this particular, the child doesn't even finish the sentence, but you just settle for a sentence that's incomplete because you're just not flexible or agile enough in your approach or your tactic to actually move with the movement of the child to get them through. So it's like life. If you know how to move with the changeability of your life, it gets you through. But if you don't know how to move with the changeability of your life, you're going to be kind of like, okay, like I'm at a wall, or how do I get through this? And that's the wonder of being a teacher, is because the child is so changeable. You're working on a sentence and the child just changes, like goes through this whole like change in just like a minute or 3 minutes. But as a teacher, you're so flexible and agile with your own understanding of how you manifest and how life changes for you and how you get it yourself through. You apply that to the tactic of how to get that child through. So you're adaptable. You know kind of what method to use at different times. Either it's play, either it's being more calm, either it's being more subtle, either being more direct. You have such a broad range as a teacher that you can pull whatever you need because you do it for your own life. So you're never settling as a teacher in your own personal life. Because if you settle as a teacher in your own personal life, you're going to be settling for what you want from the child. Okay, so it's like perseverance with yourself is perseverance with the child, and that perseverance, when a child grows through a teacher that has this perseverance, they have the perseverance to break through the ideology of fake identity, the ideology of not understanding yourself, not having acceptance for yourself, and therefore not having acceptance for other people, and then that creates more of the same repeat generation of just people who don't accept, and then they're not special, and then they lack this kind of vibrancy, and then they lack originality, and then just not really allowing themselves to grow what is natural for them to grow, because we're not all meant to be roses, we're not all meant to be cactuses, we're not all meant to be bushes, and that's the beauty of the ecosystem. Through the range and through the variety, diversity, we are able to experience what it is to be ourself. Only in diversity can we experience what it is to be ourselves, and that's what we really are always chasing. That's why we're loud, we're obnoxious, we're like always getting attention as teenagers, because we just want to feel like we're ourselves. We want to feel like a self, not a self that is just like everybody else, but a self. Okay, because then that gives us a true, like, this is mine. Like, whoa, I'm so proud of it. Like, this is mine. Like, whoa. And it might not be, like, what's yours, but that's okay because this is kind of my thing, you know? And I'm going to work on that. I'm going to get it super talented and kind of funny or whatever it is, you know? So, again, the greatest message is the child grows through the teacher's journey of self-care and self-love. So the lack of it or the fullness of it determines the child's identity and their relationship to status as a high schooler. And either that relationship is fake or that relationship is a leader. Yeah. Leader of humanity, not leader of ideology. Okay, because we all have a culture of, we all this, but then we're this, and then we feel like, kind of like, I feel like it's just like not really what I want. I kind of settled for this because I just didn't have a strong enough relationship with myself and my worth to actually persevere enough to actually not just get this, then settle, but my thing, my niche, my talent. So when we have that relationship with humanity and not ideology, we are range, we are diversity, we are understanding, we are acceptance. And that, birthing a child through that, is birthing a child who wants to participate in humanity, not ideology. Humanity. It expands them. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to expand children, not to be like us, to be better. Not to be a carrier of the same repeat and just deliver, but to be a seeker of ways in which we can improve our relationship with humanity. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with these thoughts because it's a lot. So, namaste.